Namaste, and welcome to our continuing series, Interviews with Aurovilians. Today we have part 2 with Gilles. Namaste, Gilles.
Bonjour,
and
mon ami.
welcome. Welcome. You've given us the beginning of Auroville in Mother's words and how it evolved through her many years. Where are we going now?
You see, let's see where we go. I don't like to plan too much, but there are three things that I've been interested to speak about. There is what these three transformations, which I spoke to you last time about, what they mean, what it is about, because I think it is necessary to explain them better. And then this is a topic. There is another topic which I'm interested in, which is the understanding why the program Auroville is the most ambitious project on Earth, because it's about changing human nature. It's more ambitious than sending people on the moon, Changing human nature more. And that's why people can say, I think people should admit that it's most ambitious project on Earth, but they can say, look, that's why you never succeed. Okay, let's see. Well, we believe that we will succeed, and it's important to explain why. And it's also important to explain what if we do what we are supposed to do here, how it can serve the needs of India and of humanity. When Mother says the city the earth needs. And so that's important to see that.
Yes.
And there is another thing which I'm very interested to reflect on and maybe to share, is how Mother went about creating Auroville. You see, because Mother in 65 and these years in the 60s, she already was struggling to run the ashram. I mean, there were 1,500 or something like that ashram, right? Lots of activities. She was struggling financially to run the ashram.
Yes.
And so to launch this new project of Auroville, town, 50,000 people town, she didn't have the money, she didn't have the land, she didn't have the political support, and she didn't even have the managerial team, Mm-hmm. And so it looks like, what are you doing, Mother? And she speaks of building it in 20 years, etc., or less. So now we know she didn't think. She didn't have a plan. I mean, a mental plan. So it's very interesting, I think, to understand how she went about it. You see, this book is, I started collecting all the words of the Mother maybe 35 years ago, because I was interested in what she said, and on Auroville and on other things. But very soon I became more interested in how she was doing things. Because what she says, there are some words which are eternal. In 200-300 years, nothing will have changed. And there are other words which we know. She herself says that she tells something to somebody and something slightly different to somebody else. It depends on the person. And that 2-3 days later, she may say something different, entirely different. So depending on the context of the person, etc., etc. So what I find more interesting is to see how she acted. Because basically, this is what we should also do. It is to understand how to be in the flow. What does it mean to be the willing servitor of the divine consciousness? It means to. She explained, actually. She says it is about a never-expanding consciousness. It's about total equanimity. Whatever happens, you're trying to do this, it doesn't work, no problem. And extraordinary plasticity. I was looking for the, plasticity. I was looking for a quote on plasticity, and then I have all these works of the Mother on my computer in PDF. So I was making a search for plastic, And I was amazed in every one of these volumes how many times there's plastic.
Yes. Oh, yes.
It's about total plasticity. And what I told you last time about the second project of Town of Mother, where she says, well, no, it didn't work, and Subprem tells her, but so it's abandoned. She says, no, it will come back in another way. So, or, Subprem or Roger tells her something, and she says, well, we can't do it like that, we'll do it like this. You know, it's about the will of the divine. You know, whatever happens, it's the will of the divine. So it's completely like that, and we have to act like that. We have to feel all the time that, be all the time fully open and try to perceive what is coming to us and what we should do. You know, no fixed idea. No fixed idea. You know, I mean, Sri Aurobindo wrote about the ashram that the reason why it developed so well is because there was never any preconceived mental plan.
Right.
You know, and Mother said exactly the same thing. And there is not one creation which is done and finished. No, the creation is constantly evolving. So
she told me that with music, with the Om choir.
I'm sure.
Have no preconceived idea as to what will come down.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's always like that. It's always like that. But you see, we human beings like to, where are we going? You know, I want to know. And so it has total plasticity, and always inner guidance. There is nothing else, basically. But yet, there are values which are permanent. You know, there's, for example, if we speak about the conditions, the inner individual transformation, well, it is based, like every spiritual teaching, on mastering one's ego and desires. You know, it is absolutely indispensable. On mastering also one's sense of possession, you know, and there are many other qualities like that which are very, very important, and it's important to remember it. Now, I find that something very interesting in Auroville. You see, today I find that many people are attracting to Auroville because of the freedom to be. You know, you have an extraordinary freedom to be. You can be yourself. But if you want to be the willing servitor of the divine consciousness, it means also being able to follow your dharma. You know, Sri Aurobindo spoke a lot about freedom. It's not a freedom to do. You know what freedom is?
It's not license.
No, if you ask Westerners, they will. Freedom is to be able to do what I want. If you ask a spiritual person, he will tell you it's to be the slave of the divine. There is no other freedom. You know, to find. To do what you are told within to do. So there is no other freedom. And so every one of us has special qualities, you know. And I think, you see, if you tell somebody, master your ego and desires, master your sense of possession, I think it's felt like something very negative, you know. We know it's indispensable, but it's felt like something negative. And Mother, you know, about education, she tells about kids, you know, if a kid is naughty or liar or lazy or whatever, don't tell him. You know, praise his beautiful qualities, and he will try to be better in his qualities, and he will realize that his defects are creating problems for him. So he will himself master them. You know, so I think that the more you are able to express your beautiful self, you know, I mean, provided it's not in an egoist way. But the more you are able to express your beautiful self, the more there are lots of things you don't need. Because you have this deeper satisfaction to be. To be, it's important. You know, it's very, very important. Yes. The possibility to be. So I think that today in Auroville you see a lot of people who, I mean, there are also people who will never anywhere in the world find how to express themselves. But there are lots of people who find it's a beautiful place to be. You know, and to be able to, and then they soon, hopefully, some of them at least, and quite a few, find a way of being of service, you know, with their particular talent. Each one has a particular talent. So, you know, so I think in that way it is quite a different life. You see, the spiritual life in most religions or countries is about monastery. You know, because there is nothing, you know, people don't know what to do with the vital, you know, it's very difficult. So if you want to have spiritual life, lock yourself in a monastery or convent or something like that. Suppress everything. But by doing that, you are also not allowing all your talents to express themselves, you know, and there are all kinds of talents. I mean, even the vital talent, you know, the capacity of lead people, of doing things, etc., is very, very important. But provided you domesticate your vital, you don't kind of. So I think that this is very important, and I think that this is a very good sign for Auroville. You know, Auroville is, we are very far away from where we want to go, but I think we are on the right path. It's a very healthy place, I think. There is, you know, human nature cannot be changed overnight. I mean, if you read the life of any yogi or saint, they didn't change. They didn't become what they were overnight. You know, it's a long sadhana. So I think this is giving a different perspective. You know, it's not this hard spiritual thing. Well, spirituality is the simplest thing. It is about doing very well what you are doing. You know, it is offering your work to the divine. And so there has to be a balance between the good of the individual and the good of the society. You know, it's not that one should oppress the other. I mean, Stalinism and Hitlerism were both completely crushing the individual in favor of society, of the idea of the leader of the society. They didn't mind killing millions of people, no problem. We do what we think is good for the country. And in some other, lots of people think only about themselves, and not at all about the good of the people. So you have to find the balance. And I think the only way, I think that will happen. There will be more and more Aurovilians who will come up with their extraordinary talent. Many of them are doing that and offering it to the community. And I think this will inspire others to do the same. This is what I think. I think it's a very beautiful thing.
Well, Sri Aurobindo 100 years ago spoke to us about, in the ideal of human unity and the human cycle, governance and freedom, and how they
of course.
have to work together.
This has always been the challenge,
Exactly.
the balance between the interests of the collective and the interests of the individual.
Yes.
But it doesn't have to be seen as antagonism. You know, not at all. There is no antagonism at all. It's just, if it is well understood, it's beautiful. Because there is such a pleasure in offering, in giving. You know, there is a greater pleasure in giving than in receiving, actually. So it's beautiful like that. It works like that to me. So I think, you see, I often think that when I see the huge clouds at the horizon, you know, I mean, it's not only the climate change, the ecology, etc., etc. It's a lot of other problems which everybody knows. I mean, the media keep speaking about. I think that more than ever, humanity needs the Auroville that Mother spoke about, which we have not reached at all. You know, and I also feel that, despite all the failings, all our individual and collective failings, I believe that there is no place on earth which has the potential of, which have more the potential of being that dream of the Mother than Auroville. And I don't believe me, I know all the failings of my community, but I know also that there is a tremendous potential there. And I was feeling this morning that actually our communities are best when it faces a problem. For example, you know, there was this tsunami or there was this cyclone Tane, and there overnight everybody, you know, we unite and we work together, and it works fantastically because we know each other, and you can do this, you can do that, I can rely on you for this, I can rely, you know, and it will work. Because we are beautiful like that, beautiful. And also, I've seen things on stage, you know, in our theater in Baranivas, things on stage, you know, when we do performances which are amazing. You know, there are people who write something, there are people who write the music, or write a play, write an opera, people who write, you know, create the thing. There are other people who make sets absolutely extraordinary, other people who make costume extraordinary, and the youth are older, are there acting, dancing, singing, you know. And, you know, I remember the last play that I saw, it was quite amazing. And there was a choir also in one part of the stage. We have a very big stage. And in the choir there was an Italian lady, and she has a little girl who is 2.5 years old, who is half African, half Italian. And this girl was also on stage together with her mother. You know, where she got to go? She wants to be with her mother on stage. And so her mother was singing, and she was also trying to sing. And at the end, they were all dancing, and this little girl, like adults of all people of old age, were dancing together. So you see, it's And I think it's beautiful, you know. It is. I think these plays, these actions where we had 80 people on the stage or something like that, you know. It's beautiful to do these things together, you know. I think it's beautiful. It's very important. It's really a demonstration of collaboration, doing things together. There is no greater pleasure to do things than doing things together. Yeah.
I'd like to ask you a little bit about the government and how the government came in to Auroville and how the government has helped Auroville. Our mother did say that it should not belong to any country in general, but what other country would have accepted Auroville?
Well, yeah, of course. But, you know, I mean, you have some people who regularly, from time to time, voice saying, look, the government might try to hold too much Auroville, etc. Well, not so easy to hold Auroville. But also, you know, our friend Francis, one day he said, somebody told him, oh, the government is taking too much place, etc. We are followed by the government, etc. And he said, look, if Auroville could survive the Aurovilians, of course it will survive the government. You know? So, you know, in any case, I believe that, you know, I think that Auroville is, if there was not, Mother speaks about Auroville, she says what most people do not know is that there is a support of the invisible. So it is obvious to me that Auroville could never have been and could never have survived all these 52 years with all our stupidities and our stupid little fights and big battles and whatever, if there was not something behind it.
Yes.
And it is also absolutely, so I believe that this has always been there. And it is also, I'm absolutely convinced that we have no idea how to do Auroville. You know, we are not doing Auroville. We should not say, look how good we are, you know, see, we have done this, you know. You know, we have done nothing at all. We have just been puppets in the hands of much more powerful. So, in my view, there is nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about. Either it's in the hand of the divine, and why do you worry? Or it is not, and, you know, why do you stay here? I know everywhere in the world, you know, there is many reasons to worry about any place in the world, you know.
I remember when we first came to Auroville, Mother said to us, do not think you are anything special.
Yeah.
Each of you represents a problem of the world to be worked out.
Yeah. But this is a reason of being of Auroville, and Mother explains it very, very well. You see, she says that, you know, just before the inauguration ceremony of Auroville on 1st February 68, they have called a press conference in Delhi where they invite the diplomatic corps and the press also, the media, to announce the inauguration ceremony and to encourage people to come. You know, and Anjani Dayanan, you know, who was there, was an IS officer, and she asked Mother for a message. And Mother gives her this message. India has become the symbolic representation of all the difficulties of modern humanity. But India will be the place of its resurrection to a truer and a higher life. And then she says, so that's the message, and then she comments and she says, and that's why I was made to make Auroville. She says, I didn't know why I was making Auroville. See, there is no reason.
Yeah.
There is no reason.
No mental reason.
No reason. She said, I didn't know why I was making Auroville.
Yes.
And it is because of that. She said at one point, I thought it was to prevent another world conflict, but this is not the reason. Superficial reason. It is because of that. And she says, in the same way that the Earth is a symbolic representation of the universe, she says, the Earth is a chosen planet in the universe. She says India is a symbolic representation of the earth. It is a chosen country on earth. And then she implies that the disciple here, it means in the ashram, in the center of education in Auroville, are the symbolic representation of humanity. And so she has collected here all kinds of human types. I mean, in Auroville, more than 55 different nations are represented. You know?
Yes.
And so through them, this is an occult thing, a hidden thing, that through them humanity is being transformed. That's one of our beliefs. Nobody is asked to believe that, but this is what we believe in. That through us, humanity is transformed, which is very important. So this is very important, but there are also very practical things that we can, that, if we can truly demonstrate how can we live in a different way in Auroville, that is very, very important. That you can be, that you don't need all these stupid things, that we can have a very different relation. I mean, the way humanity, the way Homo sapiens is presently, we seem to be programmed for self-destruction. So just look at what we are doing to each other and to our planet. It's terrible. And so there is a need to operate in a different way. And this is what we are trying in Auroville, but we have to try harder. There is one thing that I remember from one of my teachers at school. All the others I've forgotten. I remember this fellow. He was a professor of mathematics, and we were preparing the baccalaureate, which is a school final exam. When you go to, after that, you go to university. And this fellow, I remember, he was writing on the blackboard, and maybe every 2-3 weeks, suddenly he was turning towards us, and he was saying, "You, every one of you, you would like to have your baccalaureate, you would like to have it. But I can tell you, only those who want it will have it. The others, they can try it next year." And so I think about spiritual change, about anything in life, there are lots of people who say, "Yeah, I would like to do that, I would like to be good at what I'm doing, etc." But it's not enough. There is a difference. Wanting, being determined is what matters. Yes. And that is very strong. So one teacher told me something very important in life. Wanting, deciding, saying, "No, I will do that. No way." It's not a leisurely thing. It's determined. And I think we need more of that everywhere in the world. But some people are very good at that in Auroville and all over the world, but not enough people.
How did Mother, in the early days, meet with Aurovilians and speak with them?
Well, you see, she met with a few people, very few people. First of all, she had many people wanted to see her, so there was too many people. She also said that she had difficulty to hear, and she was used to hearing some people, to conversing with some people. You see, when Sat Prem wants Paolo Tomasi to explain to her that why matrimonial, Mother says, "Will I hear him?
Will I hear him?
Will I hear him?" So she was used to certain people, to their way of speaking or to their atmosphere. Maybe it was not.
Or the vibration of the voice.
The vibration of the person, maybe.
Or the person, yes.
So she was used. She could really understand very well, and for other people it was difficult. So anyway, at one point, some residents of Aspiration, our friend Christophe and our friend Bhagavandas mainly, wrote to Madame Lamoni also, wrote to Roger, and asked Mother if they could come. And so in 70, a group of Aurelians met Mother every week.
Is that on Sunday?
Sunday is a Comité Administratif d'Auroville, so I think it was, I don't remember which day it was. I could check, but I don't remember. So they spoke with Mother. And also, it was mostly Christophe and Bhagavandas. One of the things that I remember is that, these guys, in 69, end of 69, the community of our Aspiration started, and there was not even a fence around this community, and the village road was passing through, and they were like tents. They had a thatch roof, but they were like tents. No, there were no safety at all, etc. And the conditions were very harsh, and there was nothing. Basically, there was no tree, there was nothing. So they were quite puzzled, and they said, "Mother, look, we don't really know what to do, etc. We are a bit at a loss." And people, there were also all kinds of people there, people who had come for very wrong reasons. And so Mother tells them something like that. You have seen the world outside. You can't be too different. So I think in Auroville we can't be too different. We really wish we'd be very different. But I think we can't be too different. So we have to accept that, and accept this to every day insist and insist, try to change consciousness every day, every day, every day.
And she spoke a lot about the Tamil people
Yeah.
and how we had to work with them.
Yeah. It's clear. It's clear. I mean, it's it's very interesting because Mother said different things. You see, for example, she said she didn't want employees in Auroville. She said that repeatedly.
She didn't want
Employees in Auroville.
employees.
She didn't
Yes,
want.
that's true.
She said repeatedly. I mean, they are very. Shyam Sundar gave me the file where there was many things like that, so I've included that. But it was not well known, and she didn't want employees. And you can understand an ideal society doesn't have two categories of people, the master and the slaves. I mean, this is no master and no slaves,
Well, the servant.
Yeah, the servant. So she didn't want. It's not only not domestic, but it's also other people working there, even as engineer, accountants, etc. She wanted everything to be done by Aurovilian. And she also offered, at one point, Bharadarajan told me that she wanted to integrate entire villages, but only 6 families at that time volunteered. So you wonder how, because there was no people, we didn't have the people to manage such a scene. Mm-hmm. So it didn't happen, but it was expressed, I think, like an aspiration. There are many things in Mother which, in my view, are expressed as an aspiration. That is to pave the way, to tell you, look, this is the direction in which you have to go. And but she didn't want, even from the beginning, she didn't want paid employees. But she also wanted Tamilians to enjoy,
I wrote to her about doing the excavation for the Matrimondia.
Yeah.
And she said it would be better with Aurovilians.
Yeah.
But it was an impossibility.
No, that was, it's like all the construction, etc. So,
Yeah,
but anyway, it's fine because you see, I believe that if we didn't have local people working with us, there will be enormous misunderstanding between our neighbors and us. But because we live together, we work together, I think there is far, far less misunderstanding. There's always, of course, some misunderstanding, but there's not much. I think. We are often asked, but how is the relation of Auroville with your neighbors? I said, look, do you see any barbed or any mirador? No, there's no more. Do you see policemen trying to put? No, yeah. No. So obviously it is good. It should be better, etc., etc. But it is not bad. It is not bad. I think we understand each other. We know that there are some very, very good people in the village, and there are some very stupid people in Auroville and in the village. They are both. And they know that themselves. They know that human nature. It's like I have some friends in the ashram, but I don't know very well the ashram. But I tell my friends, look, I think I know very well the ashram because it's just like Auroville, human nature. There's no escape.
Yeah.
So there are people who have a strong aspiration, but then human nature is there also, no?
Yes. Namaste.
Namaste, my
We will
friend.
continue our discussions with Gilles, part 3, next time.